I mean, I think I can understand that. I think I can. Interpreting a parable on its own terms.
Mhm.
You still have to have some context. So I've read allegory upon allegory upon allegory in and out of the Bible, and I'm having trouble understanding what the external key is then to like the allegory. So this just seems like such a small differentiation, and yeah, it when she writes about it, it seems like it's a huge deal. Am I just crazy?
Oh, yeah,
Like
yeah,
the,
I
felt the same way.
I mean, I can't remember. I did read chapter one. I thought it was really great.
it
Yeah.
was.
Compared to the introduction, it was like almost too much, but
Yeah.
um, the, I mean, you don't want to turn, the parables are essentially a short story, and you don't want to turn them into an allegory in which, for example,
Yes.
and I can't remember even what the allegory would be,
Well,
except the
using
father
Let Catherine finish and then
take,
yeah,
go.
sorry.
take the, turn the father in the lost son, turn the father into
Mm.
a Jewish um, leader, and turn all these characters into
Other things.
different other things.
And
Yeah,
so that's what an allegory does.
Mhm.
Is that what I'm hearing you say, Catherine?
yeah.
Okay.
And and what we have to do is just take it
Uh,
as it is.
as it is. Okay. Okay. So it has its own internal key for interpretation. We don't need to necessarily look elsewhere to
Mhm.
understand that. Okay. Okay. Next is Anne and then Mary Lou.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of the concept, the Narnia thing as allegorical, but you know
Yeah.
what? I have the same thing you said on a different page.
Oh, good.
But I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, well, where he talks about animal farming, the whole thing. And it's true because most of the time I've listened to the parables, they have been preached upon with the concept that they are really allegorical,
I
you know.
agree, Anne. I think that that's our first, a preacher's first move is to go to allegory. And what she's saying is don't do that.
Right,
Read
right,
it
right.
on its own terms, then okay, Mary Lou.
Well, I guess for me, the difference is an allegory is like out there. It's like the three visitors are the Trinity.
Right.
Um, and a parable is concrete.
Even if it's really hard to understand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, a, a chair is a chair kind of thing. I mean,
Mhm.
it's a concrete story that you may interpret, but
Yes.
the pieces of it are
Right.
concrete.
Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yes, yes.
And the Father is just the Father
And
Mhm.
fathers. Okay, so
and not
then,
God.
Right.
yeah, exactly.
See, and on page 48, 40, he says that um what's he talking about there? Oh, that's the lost sheep. And finally, at the end, Luke says, I say to you that likewise there will be more joy in heaven at one sinner repenting than
Right.
at 99 righteous. So he turns the
Mhm.
sheep, he turns it, the parable, into an allegory.
Luke turns the parable into an allegory.
To an allegory,
That's
yes.
what that's what
That's what he's
that's the
saying.
argument Amy Jill is making, that the
Mhm.
gospel writer himself turns the parable into an allegory. And I think what she's trying to say to us is let's try not to do that. Let's try to receive
Yeah.
the parable on its own terms, and do so in its context.
Yeah.
So I'm back to page 9, where she writes about context matters. Um, a text without a context is just a pretext for making it say anything one wants. But the more we know about the original contexts, the richer our understanding becomes, and the greater our appreciation for the artists and composers who created the works initially. And then a little bit later, in the middle of the next paragraph, if we get the context wrong, we will get Jesus wrong as well.
Mm.
So I mean, for me, that's incredibly powerful.
Right.
And I have, I've always tried to understand context. And at the same time, I have never read anyone like Amy Jill Levine, who
Yeah.
who is a Jewish New Testament scholar and is able to say some things from that perspective that it's so I'm looking in my Bible, right, as I'm reading these, and I'm reading my notes, the things I have written down in the margins of my Bible. And I have that stuff that she says I shouldn't think about. I got Jesus equal, no, Jews equal the older brother. I have that written down in my
Wow.
Yeah,
Bible. And
that's allegory.
there you go. Gentiles equal the younger brother. I have that written down. Go
Not
ahead,
only is
Mary
it
Lou.
allegory, it's stereotyping.
There you
Yeah.
go ahead.
I would say, but you're also influenced by your education in seminary. And we're also very influenced by our upbringing and what we heard when we were growing up.
Yep.
Yes.
The stories. We've been indoctrinated.
Yes. Well, and
certain
so I take great solace in Pete Enns, who gives me permission to change. So, I mean, I think that's a great, I'm still preaching, and I can still do it differently. And that's I think I'm going to take my big pink eraser and erase all of that stuff.
One of my favorite tools.
You bet. And that's why I only write in my Bible with a pencil.
Pencil. Yep.
Same.
You know,
Same.
what you said, Mary Lou, is very interesting about how we're influenced by our upbringing, because when she was talking about what Kathy said about this character equaling Jews and this character equaling Gentiles, and it never ever occurred to me to think of it that way.
Yeah.
I didn't
And
either,
that's
actually.
my upbringing.
And that's your upbringing. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so one thing that I will hold on to, because she does say this, is that if you are not shocked by a parable, you are not reading it the way it needs to be read. And that's so I do look for that. When I'm looking to preach on a parable, was what is shocking about this particular story. And you can only know that in context, right? So at the bottom of page 10, the very bottom, the last sentence, he writes, reading the parable in light of the antecedent narratives creates surprise and challenge. In turn, reading the antecedent narrative in light of the parable opens a host of new insights. So, I mean, I think the task is, for me anyway, is to learn more deeply about those narratives, those antecedent narratives. What gives rise to this particular parable?
Now, can you do all of that in a 10-minute sermon?
Well, I mean, I can do some, but I can do that for myself. And what I find is that when I can do that, it can come out in my 10-minute sermon. Unless I'm preaching over there at that meeting house where I get 25 minutes and I can do all
Ooh,
stuff.
that
I'm
sounds that sounds Lutheran.
congregational. I'm not there anymore, so that's kind of hard to do. Okay, anything more in the introduction that
I just have to tell Catherine something, and this is not the least bit scholarly, but since we talked about the two Jews, three opinions joke, which is true. There's in terms of hospitality and meeting Jesus at the table, there is a Jewish joke that goes, "They tried to kill us. We're still alive. Let's eat."
I love it.
gosh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
While
Um,
we're interrupting, at the end of this time, Kathy or Sharon, will you tell me what additions you have so I can order the right one
we'll
at the
figure
end
it
of
out.
time?
So on page 19, the last paragraph in the last, yeah, before we move to the paragraphs today, she said, I have a big question here. The parables in that first century context need to make sense without any knowledge of how Jesus's followers came to understand him after the Romans crucified him. They need to make sense not only to those who choose to follow him, but to those who found him just a wise teacher, a neighbor in Nazareth, or a fellow Jew. So, this idea of them making sense. Then my little comment down here is, so what about the parable of the tenants? That doesn't make any sense at all. In any context, I've read,
Parable of the
doesn't
tenants.
the one he sends the householder sends the finally his son and they kill
Oh,
his
yeah,
son.
okay.
Yeah, that makes no sense in any context that I have found.
I
So
don't, I don't know. To me, it makes sense in, okay, if you do this, these are the consequences.
I suppose just, that sort of thing. Are we going to read that one? Oh, no,
No,
we're not going to read that one. Too bad. I would really like to have a little master class from Amy Jill on that one.
That one maybe really is dependent on historical context.
Yeah, and I just don't know enough.
I don't either.
I wonder if she's got something on that. I might look because I really would love to understand it. To this date, I have not. Okay, so what else do we got here? How
concept of cost.
huh?
Are we on chapter 1?
The message, no, I'm not there yet.
Okay.
How do the messages, this is on that same page 19 in the middle, how do the messages an original audience would have heard translate over the centuries to the person in the pew, the Bible study, or the classroom? We do not restrict the meaning of Hamlet to Elizabethan England. We continue to ask new questions of the Iliad and the Huckleberry Finn. I mean, for me, that's a really sort of a volatile point. I mean, I went to see a production of Much Ado About Nothing just the other night, and it was quite contemporary. Um, and we are allowed to do that. We can talk till we're blue in the face about it, but nobody's going to sort of throw stones at each other because we've decided to interpret Shakespeare in new and contemporary ways. Scripture, on the other hand,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
if we choose to interpret it in new and
Mhm.
creative ways, we, we put ourselves out there for being thrown out. I mean, I've been told that before. You can't say that. You can't say that, Kathy.
Of her examples here, Huckleberry Finn is probably the closest because Huckleberry Finn is regularly on the banned book list by Black
Mhm.
parents,
Yeah.
Well,
not by,
Yeah. And James is a new telling.
right,
James is a whole retelling of the book
Yeah.
right,
from the
Yeah.
uh
Mhm.
from the
yeah,
perspective of
of the
Jim.
slave, yeah, of
Yeah.
Jim.
Jim. Yeah. So I just think that that's fast. I mean, and those of you from Trinity know that I've chosen to do a retelling of the Passion story on Good Friday for years and years and years. And you know, so far the people who come to that are the people who think that's valid. If they didn't, they wouldn't come. So there you go. But yeah, try doing that on a Sunday morning and I might have stones thrown at me.
Mhm.
So, shall we move to the lost sheep? Are you
You know,
ready?
as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking how easy it is for us to have allegory, seeing these as allegory. I mean, and teaching all the ways, the concept of the lost sheep, that we are the sheep, and that yeah, she has a very different outlook. Now I do have that. Maybe I can follow along a little bit, but it's so easy to get into that other concept.
It sure is. Okay, let's read it. Who wants to read it? It's just chapter 15, 1 through 7, 8, 7. Or right from her book, either way. Who's got it?
Oh, I got it from my book. So he told them the parable. Which of you, having 100 sheep and losing one of them, does not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? When he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders and rejoices. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and neighbors, saying to them, rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost. Just so I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who need no repentance.
So in that last sentence, he turns it from a parable into an allegory.
That is
Yeah, that's exactly where,
that's
yes,
what Amy
Catherine.
Jill teaches us. That's what's happening there.
But now that's a little bit different telling of that parable than I have in my book.
Well,
What
honey, I got the wrong
okay, so
wrong
that
editions.
was New Revised Standard, as far as I can tell, right? What do you
I
have,
think
I
so,
didn't
yeah.
read it.
Catherine? What
Um,
do you have?
What do I have?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
she
How
says
would
it's her translation.
This is
new
her translation in her book.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Oh, shoot.
this is really confusing now. I don't know. At any rate, I think the the most important thing that I got from all of these three is in order to find what's lost, you have to notice what's lost.
She really does reiterate that, doesn't she?
You have to notice that something is lost.
Yes. Yeah. When you got 100 sheep, how do you notice one is gone? When you have
Yeah.
10 coins, how do you notice one is gone?
You count.
And with the sons, which one is lost?
Which one?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, my question is, what shepherd would leave 99 sheep to go after one?
Exactly. Who's taking care of the
Who's
rest of
taking
them?
care of them?
And she
You know,
raises that, doesn't
you-
she?
yeah.
She does, yeah.
I mean, if you've got if you're shepherding with a couple guys or a couple women, you could have somebody else look after the sheep while you wander off.
But it doesn't say that.
It doesn't say that.
No.
And so I get lost. I lose the story right there because I'm thinking about why would anyone leave nine?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm with Jane.
Mhm.
and
The dog is taking care of them.
That
That's
works
true.
for
They're
me.
very good at it.
and then do all of you know, have all of you always known what prodigal means?
Mhm.
Well, we
Yeah.
were taught it. We were told in sermons.
I guess I never thought, what does this word mean?
Well, and that it
And
shows
I might have been like this student on the top of page 31. I think I was probably the student she's talking about. A few students who did not do well on their SATs hear prodigal and think prodigy.
Oh,
No, I love that.
yeah.
Oh,
I've preached on prodigal meaning
yeah.
so much of recklessness, but
But it's
kind
not a word anyone uses anymore in
but
any other context. I
um,
never hear the word prodigal used in novels or certainly in.
there's a new story written. It's the and prodigals in its title. What is it, Sharon? I will look at.
Reckless money. It's about Trump.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Prodigal president.
And
Yeah. It works.
and to know that the word itself is not in the text.
Yeah,
So all these years, it's the people who are putting titles in our texts, so that in and of itself is an interpretation, right?
yeah.
And has led us astray, I would suggest that title, they should
Hmm.
be titled The Lost Sheep, The Lost Coin, and The Lost. I'm not sure what the third one is, if it's The Lost Son or
yeah,
The
that's what he
Lost
says.
The
Father,
lost father.
or what is lost in that third story. But it clearly follows the first two lost ones. Well, and she writes on page 31 in that same paragraph in the middle of it, contrary to today's appropriations of the term, such as Prodigal Magazine, a Christian online publication that is passionate about helping people live and tell good stories, or Prodigal, a global hedge fund that promotes
What?
innovation in financial services, or the various claims that speak of God's interest in reckless, radical, or extreme love. There is nothing complimentary about being prodigal. That is, in wasting resources for personal gratification.
Mhm.
Now, I have preached about the Father
Yes.
lavishing.
Yes.
So maybe one could say wasting his resources on the party that ensues when the son returns.
Ah.
But according to Amy Jill, that's still not quite right.
Yeah.
Right? Because she is saying that there's this personal gratification. So, I mean, so the argument might be to no longer use that word in connection to this story. And then we can move out of that whole idea of personal gratification.
Right.
And I can still preach on the lavishness of the
Well, we know that words morph.
yeah, we do know that too. Yeah. 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 So I can't remember now. Did she write about that kind of problem we in the lost sheep that we see about leaving the one? I'm trying to remember that now.
Yeah, she
I think,
did.
yeah.
She did.
Where did she write that?
Oh,
Well, when she starts, that's what this par this chapter, because she taught, like starting on page 37, she talks about these in small paragraphs,
Yeah.
and it's
Mhm.
so much easier to
Yeah.
digest that way.
She does tell us in her introduction how she's going to go about doing this. So,
Yeah.
um,
Oh, okay.
it is, I mean, she does say that she's going to kind of come, it's the coming from the big, the funnel, from the big opening all the way down to the little bit. So that's where we are with this one.
Yeah, so she says at the top of page 39, the seeker who seeks 99 sheep, who leaves 99 sheep to find one, will have at the end of the day only one sheep.
Bingo.
The rest of
That's
them is straight
interesting.
away.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what do we do about that? So in that same page in Luke's parable, the owner has lost a sheep and in desperation does what he can to find it. He is so concerned about the lost sheep that he not only leaves, but leaves behind the others.
Hmm.
That missing one out of 100 is as important to him as all the others. As perhaps all congregants are important to their churches or all children are important to their parents, one hopes he has helpers to watch the rest of the
Yeah.
I did write down, where did I write that question down? That because he did, I mean, you've said that, it's the noticing that the one is gone. So that's that was part of it. And then so I was looking at, I thought I wrote myself a question in here. I was thinking, the whole idea that, I mean, if you were to sort of extrapolate from it, I don't know if that's allegorize or not, but, the whole idea that we as a Christian community would run out to find the one who has walked away from Christ. Um, um, yeah, that's something we might consider doing.
Mhm.
But what she is saying is, in fact, do you even notice? Do we even notice? So that, yeah, I mean, that's her question.
I have an issue with that. I'm with her particularly because I notice that it seems from what I have observed sometimes that when one notices the lost person or whoever has walked away, it's the attitude seems to be, oh well, too bad for them, and not making efforts to reach out. And I have seen it happen. And I understand that there's times when you just can't do anything else. Someone is intractable about why they are walking away from something, or there's a reason, context to why they're walking away. So I get that, I guess I get two sides of it.
And it's
I,
a question of resources, which is what I think she also kind of is pointing to, is that if one, for example, and raised in a congregation, if for example, the leader of the congregation was constantly going out to
yeah,
find the lost one, what happens to the 99 that are still sitting
get
there
lost
in the
too,
pew,
yeah.
right?
I
You'll
get that.
lose all of them,
We're all important.
they're
We all
so
need to share, right?
and so that's a question of resources. And our little Episcopal churches don't have those
No.
unless laity is willing to step up and do those.
Right.
So there
Well,
you
we
go.
have two deacons now, but
Sharon, go ahead. I think we got Sharon and Mary Lou and Jane Horsberg. So
Well,
Well,
at the
all I was going to say is that sometimes, at least where I am, somebody cannot be there for 3 weeks and nobody notices.
and nobody notices. Yeah.
And you call and you say, "Are you okay?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And but it doesn't happen, and that just it's
Yeah.
sad,
Yeah.
it's up to us.
Yeah.
right?
Sharon.
It is up to us, but I'm just saying that
I
it
get it.
doesn't. I
Mhm.
will notice, but it can be 3 weeks and
Mhm.
nobody else has noticed.
I get it.
and
Yeah.
this isn't what I was going to say, but when you are in a place where somebody notices immediately and acts upon that, and I've been in two congregations like that. One, it was the priest's wife who, if you weren't in church that afternoon, you could expect a phone call wanting to make
Oh.
sure that you were all okay and that nobody was sick and you didn't need anything. And the other was the parish I belonged to before coming to Wisconsin, where the Vietnamese priest, if I mean, I would sometimes be late for church, but I'd break my neck to get there so as not to get an email from Ting the next day saying, "Are you okay? We really missed you yesterday." And then having to admit that I merely overslept. But what I was going to say is that on the bottom of page 39, where she talks about the sheep probably not caring whether it's lost or not, and
Mhm.
that sheep don't like being carried on anyone's shoulders. I
Yeah.
think that last sentence might be really important. For the owner, the important thing is that he has found the sheep and now his flock is complete.
Mhm.
I think that flock is complete is doing some heavy lifting there.
Yeah. Hmm.
So is that when the celebration happens? I mean, because all three of these parables are about celebration.
I'll end with let's eat.
Yeah, let's eat. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, that's what the way each one of them does, right? Let's
Right.
eat. Go ahead, Mary Lou.
Okay, except for the lost son. The first two, his flock is complete, the coins are complete. But the lost son, there's still a question as to whether it's complete, because whether have you drawn back in the older son?
Well, and the parable, I have to admit I didn't reread that parable again incredibly well, but I do believe that another question left open-ended, yeah, is I mean that lost son just did not partake in the celebration.
Mhm.
So
He's not, so the family is not complete.
yeah,
The unit
yeah,
is not complete.
yeah.
A lot, the son didn't even know about the celebration
Right.
until he
Heard it.
happened to show up and heard a party going on and realized he hadn't been invited. I've been in situations like that,
Mhm.
and the hurt
Mhm.
Mhm.
of not being invited, nobody noticing that you weren't there.
Mhm.
That's really hard.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And so it goes back to noticing,
Mhm.
which is also from the first two. You notice the coin is gone. You notice the sheep is gone.
And so often that's not
It
what
was-
we have been listening to all these years. It's, you know, um, and I think that's something that I need to, as I listen to these parables again in church or reading, that I'm saying, okay, we need to notice, and how does that relate to what we are doing now, daily life, to notice. And I'm not allegorizing, I'm just commenting. And I'm going to take off in a few minutes.
10 bells, ladies.
So you think that that whole lost son might be about noticing the older son? Should we pick up with the lost son next time, or should we move on to the Samaritan? I think we should do both. Let's
Yeah.
let's pick up any pieces that we feel like we didn't get to with the lost son, because there are there's so many there.
But what does the lot, I mean, there's so much in the lost son.
Yeah, so we need
Family reconciliation,
Oh,
and that family is probably never going to be as whole as it could have been
yeah.
because there's resentment from these children for years.
Yeah.
But what does the lost sheep, I mean, the lost sheep and the lost coin, I guess it's just that I can't even find it in here now that I'm talking. What does that mean? It doesn't have any meaning for us beyond noticing, unless you turn it into an allegory, does it? I mean, like the lost coin. Um,
What
because
does
we've
it,
always been, Catherine, I've been taught that you're right, allegory for Jesus, for the lost person, that God is always looking for the lost. Yeah, so it's hard to rethink that.
Yeah.
I mean, I
that's
don't
the
know
teaching?
what's surprising about either one of those or provocative about either one of those first two,
Right.
but
Well,
there's
why
a
don't we
lot.
let's pick up with there on the next week and see if we can answer that question that Catherine raises. What is the surprise, the shock in those those two parables, and why do we need to treat these three stories as all of a piece? Because we do. But why is
And
that?
I will message you, Kathy or Sharon, as to what edition I should be ordering, what I should be getting.
Okay, sounds good.
And
See
then
you in 2 weeks,
we
God willing.
Catherine,
Bye.
are we supposed to be reading the next chapter?
I think we'll spend most of our time on the lost son.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I'm happy for that because I did not get through the chapter.
I
I
didn't.
didn't get my book in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the lost son then.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
We'll see ya.
Bye.
Have a good
Bye.
week, everybody.
Bye.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.